So today I'm excited to chat about this topic with you all. Well, no matter what I post, I feel like I'll be excited to share it with you all. But of course, by the title of this video, I will be sharing books that inspired me to write. I'm going to split it into two categories. So there's romance and fantasy, which is kind of the main genres I read, and I feel like that would be the main genres I would write in, but kind of like merge the two. Not romantasy per se, but still along like those categories. So these books, most of them I've read already, so I'm not gonna say that it's kind of like a spoiler-free type video, because I'm not necessarily spoiling the plot, but maybe like the characters a little bit. But even then, I don't necessarily think what I'm about to share with these books that they're major spoiler, like plot spoils. So just like a warning in case, though, if you see it as a spoiler, this video is, it has spoilers in it, I should say. But I personally don't think it's like a spoily type thing. There's nothing, I'm not telling you how it ends. There's nothing about the plot or whatever. It's just how these books, like the video, like inspired me to want to write, and just little things that I like what was done and stuff like that. So I think that's it. Oh, so like I said, I'm spoiling it. I'm separating it into two different categories, romance and fantasy. And at the end, I'll, I guess, talk about not necessarily what I'm writing, but like the themes of what I am writing and stuff like that, and just a little cute little fun facts of I guess the stories that I'm writing. If I could, there's a look here. Oh man, I'm so sorry. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. So like I said, most of these are, or at least in the romance category, I've already read and reviewed. If they can just stay stacked. But I've already read and reviewed these books. Now, I don't know, I read all of these last year. I don't know what month I recall reading these in. I know I read this one during like the holidays, either like November, December, one of them. So if you want to see my full review on this one, you could check that out if you want. I'll link the cozy book playlist down below, because like I said, I don't know which videos or wrap-ups I mentioned these in, and I've talked more about them, but here is just more so how did they inspire me and all this other stuff. So in the romance category, we have By the Book by Jasmine Guillory, and this is it's Beauty and the Beast contemporary romance retelling, kind of like a rom-com type vibe, which I loved. I forget what I rated this, but this isn't the video for rating, but I know like I really enjoyed it. So we have Isabel, or like Isa, I think that she goes by, or Izzy, my bad, Izzy she goes by, and she is kind of like, not kind of, but she is, she works at a publishing house. And we have this, I think he's either an ex-football player or retired football player, whichever of the two. He played some major league sport, and he was going to write a memoir with the publishing house that she works at, but he hasn't sent anything to like the publishing house to like review within like the 2 years he's been signed on, and his, I guess, contract is about to expire. So they're like, she essentially volunteers to try to go and motivate him to want to write his memoir and write his book and stuff. And he's known as like the Beast, so you have like Isabel and then the Beast, right? It's really cute overall, but what got me about this is that with her trying to motivate Beast, because I forget his name right now, oh, Bo Towers, right? But with her trying to give him like little pep talks and motivation to write his book, I felt like she was not only talking to him, but like to me as well. And I can't remember, like, I don't annotate my books and stuff like that, so I can't tell you which page or whatever it was on. But just throughout the story, she would give him these pep talks, and I feel like she was talking to me about it and saying, like, someone somewhere will want to read your story, so like, why not write it? And I feel like, not that she said that per se, but just along those lines, and I'm like, okay, that's so true, you know what I mean? But yeah, this one was like overall it was a really fun read, and like I said, what she told Bo, I feel like she was also telling me as well. And he also gave her a little bit like a pep talk, so she wanted, I think, to start her own either publishing house or write her own book, something like that. So the things he said to her as well was also pretty motivating and inspiring. So that's what I liked about this. We have Friends and Lovers by Charlene Obobi. I feel like I also couldn't pronounce or didn't understand how to pronounce her last name as well, so I feel like I like butchered it, but this was really good as well. So we have Joe Ezra and Mal. Mal is the author, writer in the story. Like I said, I don't know if this is really much of like a spoiler, but his story is getting really popular, getting all the buzz, and he is, you know, going on like to these book signings and stuff like that. I don't know if he gets like movie adaptation of like his fantasy series featuring, of course, like Black people and stuff like that. So I don't, not that like, or more so like I don't know if it's in here and like the other one, because it's kind of like the same conceptually with like the authors in here, but this just kind of, and on par with, I'll just bring it up, with like The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest. It's like on par with what can happen if you just sit and write. So you get like, of course, this amazing book deal. Like they're both already published. So he's the author in this one, and of course Mal right here, he's the author in this one as well. And of course they're like in a sense of like, of course, yes, you have like a book deal, right? And then so many people like it and they want like show adaptations, movie adaptations. They want to see it on like the big screen and how popular it's like getting and stuff like that for both authors. And if you're around in the time where like I think it's like the 2010s, I guess, era, where a lot of these like young adult movies were turning into movie adaptations. So we have Hunger Games, Divergent, and I can throw in Twilight in there, but like or Maze Runner as well. I love Maze Runner. Like Dylan O'Brien, he was like my crush for the longest. But yes, like that was like an era to like exist in, and all the buzz and all this other stuff. So it's kind of like giving what could potentially happen for like, you know, we're like writing a book, so it could be so, I guess, monumental that it could have like a TV show adaptation or a movie adaptation or like something, right? And I just feel like, not saying that's, I guess, like an end goal, but it's something to, I guess, think about or dream about. Like, what if you write this thing and it becomes like bigger than what you ever imagined it to be? So that's kind of like, in a sense of inspiring, just more so not saying that's what I want at the end of the day, but in a sense of like, what could possibly be an outcome if I just, you know, keep writing and like keep deciding to write. So yes, and these were also really good. I forget what I rated them, but yeah, they were pretty fun. Just a Pretty Face by J.S. Jasper. I feel like I talked about her a lot last year, because I was trying to, and like I think a little bit earlier this year, because I wanted to go through her backlist to look at the other books that she also written that I wanted to probably check out and see. But hers is mainly like the plot is two people falling in love. Like, that's it. That's the plot. Low stakes. And I love that. So I feel like I mentioned this before in another video of mine, where I read more fantasy than romance, but I like to read romances that could be like a palate cleanser for the fantasies that I read, because a lot of the fantasies are like high stakes and angsty and a whole bunch of emotions going on. But like a romance, essentially the stakes are there. They're not just as high as like a fantasy would be, but this one, they're low stakes. It's literally, the plot is literally just two people falling in love, which I adored, and that's just what she writes based off of the other books that I've read by her. I think this is the only one so far that I gave 5 stars. I don't know if it's because like the intro to like J.S. Jasper's writing that like I really loved, and it was like a breath of fresh air or something. But so far of what she's written, this is the only like 5-star one that I remember giving. And it's literally, like I said, just two people falling in love. And of course the main character is like a Black woman. We know I love to read about Black women being in love and being loved on. It's like my favorite, period. It's just like my favorite, like one of my favorites. So it was really good. And I just also liked how, of course you could write whatever, like there's no like rule on like what you should write and don't write whatever else, but it was just nice to see that it exists in like, oh, I can do this too. Like I could just write it out to people falling in love, and that's the plot, like that's it. And of course I know not like a lot of people want to read, they want something to happen, but the main thing that's happening is them falling in love and them trying to like deny their feelings, or trying to like talk through their feelings and communicate and all this other stuff. This was really good, and like I said, inspiring, that I can literally just write about two characters falling in love, and that's it, that's the plot. So yes, really good. Now we are going to venture into our fantasy category, which is probably my favorite genre of like reading, and also like writing as well. I'm going to share both of these because they're by the same author. So we have The Fall of Souls by R.M. Monroe, as well as the special edition of Celestial Bodies. I finished this like a few days ago, and I'm not gonna really talk too much about this because you'll hear it at the end of the month for like my monthly wrap up. But this was really good. I enjoyed it, and this is just like she writes Black and brown romantasy stories, or romantasy paranormal, I think, if that's what her bio says. Don't quote me on it, but I just know that's what she writes, and it's fun to see characters who look like me be in these fantastical realms, because it was like back when I was like in like middle school, high school, or maybe even like elementary, but I remember reading a lot more in middle school. And a lot of the fantasy that I read had, you know, a white protagonist, like a white main character. And even if we are in the story, like, you know, as like a Black woman or like a Black character, even if we are in the story, we're like the best friend or like the side character, or just not like the main, or important enough to be like the main. But it shows, at least with these books specifically, it shows that we can be the main characters in fantasy, we can be the main characters in supernatural like worlds, even in romance as well. Like I didn't mention that in romance, like we could still be the main character in any genre. Like we also exist in these worlds. And so these books inspire me a sense of like I said, we exist in these worlds as well, not just in like the gang, drugs, etc type stories. We exist in fantasy worlds, and we also want to fall in love and like be taken care of. So these are super fun. And I think she has 2 more coming out. Well, the sequel of this is supposed to be out spring of this year, and then the sequel of this is supposed to be out summer of this year. I don't necessarily know when spring ends officially, so I'm just either way excited to get conclusion, because they're both duologies. So other than that, these are really good, and like I said, they inspired me to like, it exists, right? I feel like someone had to do it, like it exists, and I'll bring it up again in a little bit for the other book in this category. Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. Now, this is I also reviewed this, I think, my last month wrap up, which should be it's already out. I think I read this last month, I want to say. Yes, I read this last month. And it's a cozy fantasy, which is, like I said, what I love. And like I said a little bit before, that I read a whole lot of high stakes, high fantasy, and sometimes that I still want to be in the fantasy world. I just don't want like more anxiety, more angst. I just want to like still exist in that realm. But what if like the characters run like a tea shop or something like that? And this was kind of like, it can exist. It can, you can write a fantasy with like low stakes, cozy vibes. I know I mentioned in that wrap up that this reminded me of Fields of Mysteria. If you've ever played that game, this is Fields of Mysteria as a book, and I really loved it. It's all like the cozy vibes, just still in the fantasy realm, and I just adored that concept. And she has another one coming out called The Enchanted Greenhouse that I'm pretty sure I'm going to read, to get like more, I guess, cozy fantasy inspiration, because it exists. Like, and I know a lot of people would want things to happen in their books, which is totally understandable, but sometimes I just want to vibe, I just want to read, I just want to like, not have the stakes be too high, because I just came from an epic fantasy. So I feel like this was a nice palette cleanser from all like the fantasy and stuff that I was reading. The last book I have, this is the only book on this list that I haven't read yet, but overall, it's the whole like series so far, and that is the Legendborn cycle. I have like Oathbound here. It's the Barnes and Noble edition, because it has like these gorgeous like end papers, if that's what they're called. And the back is the exact same. Yeah, in case you're like, the back is the exact same. So it got really bright. But yes, and the first 2 books are on my shelf, and this was like the only accessible one. She's chonky. I can't wait to delve into this. I recently got the audio for this, so I could do like immersive reading. But that's neither here or there. So I can't remember if I talked about this, but I started my reading era February of last year, and the first book I read was the first book in the series, Legendborn, and it literally what got me back into reading after not reading for years, like at a time, because of course there's like a black girl on the cover, representation. She looks like me in a sense of like darker skin, curly hair, like hello, and it's in a fantasy type world. Like, I have not seen that back when I was reading, like more so. And I don't know, like inspired in a sense of like the same with the R.M. Monroe novels, that we also exist in these worlds, and we can also be like powerful but also like fragile and all this other stuff. And it's I don't know, like the Legendborn cycle has like a close or like a permanent, or like I can't form the words, but it has like a lovely place in my heart, if I can word it that way. And I just really love it. Like, granted, this is kind of like not kind of, like, it is about about King Arthur and like the Round Table. There's heavy lore, heavy, like, you know, world, like, politics and world building and all this other stuff, and I adore this so much. And like I said, it brought me back into reading this series, and I just love it. There's like so many things that go on and on about this story, but I really do enjoy this. And it, like I said, it inspired me in a way that, like, we can still exist in like these worlds and realms, and still, you know, we still like matter. I guess, if I could like word it that way. Yeah, like this, I can't wait to delve into this and, you know, just continue on with the series. Yeah, that's like all the books that inspired me to read, hopefully, or inspired me to write. Hopefully any of these books could inspire you to read, or if you just want something new and fresh. Most of these books has like a Black woman main character, except for The Spell Shop. That was mostly like for vibes, but I wanted to pick stories that have for the most part like Black women main characters, because like I said, it's representation, and that's just, it's so powerful, more powerful than I feel like for me right now can even like fathom in like the grand scheme of things. But yes, now for writing. So I'm not gonna like share the title of it right now, or even the cover, because I create a cover. I like to create covers because that more so inspires me to want to write, and just imagine like how to look on a bookshelf or like at the store or something like that. But so I am currently writing 2, 3, because one is kind of like with my friend, we share like the same prompt, and like we're writing based off of that. But outside of that, I'm currently writing 2 different stories. One is, I want it to be like kind of like a shorter story, between like 250 to 350 some pages, but of course I'm not one to like cut off a story if it doesn't need to be. I just let the story tell whatever it needs to share. And then, so that one, it's like I would say like a little short, not like short, but like short enough, and it's just gonna be a cozy fantasy romance, in the sense of like it's a fantasy, or it's a romance taking place in a fantasy realm. And it's just about 2 childhood friends like falling in love. The tropes, like I said, childhood friends to lovers, slow burn. Yeah, I'm having fun. I have like the first 4 chapters like drafted. I have to like go through them, but I am still super excited, and hopefully I can share that with you all whenever it gets closer to an idea of when I want it to be out and published. And then simultaneously, I'm outlining and planning a high fantasy story. Of course, it'll feature Black, brown characters, because why not? And I've been writing that one since high school. If you know me personally, you'll probably know what story I'm talking about, because it's been through so many different reiterations or iterations. And yeah, it's my baby, it's my child, and I'm excited for, I guess, the route this one is taking now, since I've read books that inspired me, and I've grown, I feel like, as a writer through that as well. And yeah, I'm super excited, and I will share that with you all at, you know, whenever like the time comes. But yes, if you want to see any like writing vlogs or whatever stuff, let me know. but I'll just be doing a lot of stuff like probably behind the scenes, unless, you know, you guys want to see some writing stuff, or I don't even know how to really do that without spoiling. But yes, thank you for listening. If you like, have you read any of the books I've mentioned? Would you want to, after I like shared them with you all? Are you also writing, or did any of these books or whatever brought you back into reading? All those questions, let me know in the comments down below. And while you're there, please like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more cozy videos just like this, whether it's about books or about games. And hopefully I can see you in the next video.